Hey, what's up, everybody? Rod J back again. Thanks for anybody out there that is watching right now. So, kind of a impromptu. Well, it wasn't impromptu. Actually, I have Kyle with me tonight from No Hype Beer Reviews. Welcome, Kyle.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rod. I appreciate it.
Sure, sure. And we had talked before about one of the books we wanted to check out, and we're going to actually talk about the book on the broadcast here, kind of discuss it and see what our feelings were, our feedback on it. I actually, for anybody that's on Goodreads, already posted kind of a review on it out there as well. But it's an interesting take on the craft beer industry, and it's from a side that a lot of times is neglected, which I think Kyle would agree to as well, or not seen as much, and some really good perspective given as well. So we're going to actually talk about This Ain't the Beer That You're Used to, a beginner's guide to good beer. And this was actually written by Dom Ducci Cook. And you can actually find this on the Cultural website, which is the logo there in the description. I actually have a link to the book if you want to check it out, where you can see it there. You can see it on Amazon. Culture is also a great website to check out. I definitely think you should check them out if you get a chance. And with that, I guess we're going to get started. But while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the information in case people have questions or anything they want to mention. But in talking about the book, I guess, in getting started, what were your kind of initial view on it? What did you kind of think of it, Kyle, from your perspective?
Yeah, I've read a few, books about craft beer, maybe, I don't know, half a dozen at this point, and I like that it's exactly what it's supposed to be, like what he set out to do, tell it in his voice, give his perspective. Like you were talking about, make it accessible, to maybe people who were like him, who were into craft beer, and to kind of open that door for them. And
Mhm.
I think he did a great job of making it, it's not pretentious. It's not, he's not trying to be anything other than who he is in this story, and very authentic, which I think is important in craft beer for people. And definitely this book came across that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with all of that there. And I'm just going to pop out the chat in case people do have any questions as we go through. So, for those of you not familiar with the book, and there is a pretty good amount of buzz on the book that you can find on Twitter, as well as I know on Instagram and some other spots. But as you can see here, well, you can kind of see there under the mask, like Dom's actually a black guy like myself. So I don't know if you knew that or not. I'm just saying, but
But this isn't a
um,
radio show. I always listen to this on the radio.
right. But it's the perspective from, a black person that enjoys craft beer as well. But he hits on a lot of the topics that I myself have seen out there, kind of when you walk into like a craft brewery, a lot of the times you might be the only black person walking in. Some breweries now you definitely have more that are getting more involved in it, but it's kind of a perspective that he really gets into the early stage of setting a tone of how it was kind of a community that wasn't looked at. It was kind of the whole big push. And he talked about how, a lot of the times the things being pushed into the community were the 40s, the malt liquor type thing, not really knowing about the craft beer. And for him to even get involved to it, it was Guinness that was his way into finding out about some of this stuff out there. But before that, there's a lot of that where it wasn't looked at for that community. It's kind of a weird type thing when you see that. I mean, it's kind of like you're going to bypass a whole community that might have access to it. So a lot of times, some of the things we hear nowadays, maybe why people say, why come more black people may not be involved in craft beer? Is it cost? Is this and that? Well, a lot of it's just exposure. It's not being exposed to a lot of it, and the things being pushed onto people. And it's funny talk about Ice Cube. He used to be at one point like a spokesperson for St. Ides, and then he broke the tie with St. Ides because they weren't giving back to the community and stuff. So it was kind of like this. It was always kind of situated where the 40s would be pushed into the urban areas, and when craft beer really exploded, it was like skipped over. And I think that's one of the reasons we see some of the issues we see right now with some of the breweries, where things are being put out there. It's kind of like you look at it like that makes no sense at all, and I'll bring up the thing with the whole Founders situation is why you won't see me reviewing Founders going forward on the channel because of the situation they actually have brought up. And it's kind of like when you don't have that part of the community involved, you make these missteps and then you don't know how to clean them up because you don't have that part of the community involved as well. And I give them example of how they faced that situation versus Dark Horse, who had a similar situation and how they handled it. And I would ship my money now to Dark Horse rather than Founders because of the way they actually took notice of it. But it's really interesting. It's really an easy read. It's only like I think 89 pages or so. Um,
Yeah.
but he keeps it very simple on a lot of different stuff. A lot of the breakdown doesn't get overly detailed because it is on here, as he mentions, a beginner's guide to good beer. So he doesn't want to overpower people. It's kind of like started doing a YouTube channel and some of the discussions back then I would have with some of the other creators. And it's like, if you're building it up, you don't want to get too much into the weeds where people aren't going to understand what you're talking about. If you're a new person, you're not going to know what Brettanomyces are really. You're not going to know IBU and all this other stuff. So you want to keep it at a level to get them involved, but not a level where they get burnt out and overburdened. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know what you're thinking there,
Yeah, I
Kyle.
mean, you don't want to hand any new person to craft beer Garrett Oliver's Oxford, beer encyclopedia. Like, you don't want to be like, hey, here's everything you know about beer. It's going to be daunting. Like even as someone who loves craft beer, been doing it for a while. I'm not very far into that book. That is a daunting task.
Right.
You spoke about the history and maybe why certain groups feel excluded or have been excluded for sure from craft beer. That was one of my favorite things about the book is like it's a mix of some of his biography, some of that history. His narration is so good how it reads like you're talking to him at times in the best possible way and the informative. It's like you said, it's accessible for a new craft drinker. It's going to give you some information. You've been drinking craft beer for 20 years. You've been on, hundreds of food tours. You know all that stuff. You're not the intended audience. I still enjoyed it, but you're not the intended audience. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was kind of that perspective that I was really more interested in, from the culture site and stuff. And I know you're familiar with culture as well, but it's really being more encompassing of the Black community into craft beer, and opportunities that might not be there, opportunities that might be be in the mist, so to speak. So watching and reading about this and seeing the stuff as you check in online and you see these other things out there, it really pulls together nicely. And it does have a nice explanation of how you wrapped it up on why you may not see this, or to put someone in the shoes that might not know what it's like to maybe be that Black person that walks into a brewery and sees nobody like them around the brewery, and it's one of those things I think with the majority of it, pretty much, I don't know what the numbers are, say 90% white or whatever. I mean, there are some Latino that are involved in it now, and I'm sure there's Asian craft beer and others Asian craft beer drinkers as well, but the majority is still overly white. So there's like times you walk in there, you look for people like you, and they have been trying to get more inclusive. So that's one thing I know. I've talked to the Brewers Association. They're trying to get more inclusive on a lot of things. They're trying to pull up more details on stuff, get people involved. But I think there's still kind of a loss on how they actually handle that, how they actually do that. Away from this, there was a piece I saw earlier on my flight back, which you guys saw. If you watched the video earlier, I was actually down in Dallas this weekend, so I'm kind of was running around. I went to a brewery down there, but on the flight back, I was reading a piece on Twitter, and I guess another brewery came out and apologized for an ad they ran for Pride Month. I forgot which brewery it was, but they had a thing out there and basically said their drink was something was like kind of like a gay lemonade or something, right? And then all hit the fan, and then he came out with a statement to apologize. They didn't really mean anything by it, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like, I don't know what it's going to take for all these breweries to finally learn diversity and learn how you want to have people involved from different groups to avoid these missteps, because the missteps are rather easy to avoid if you have the right people in place.
And that's the argument for any industry to have a diverse group of people working there. You're going to have new ideas, different perspectives. You're less inclined to make we'll call it a snafu, but like a major mess up like that. I mean, you're less inclined because someone hopefully feels empowered to speak up and be like, you know what? I think that's crossing the line of like acknowledgement, inclusiveness, or whatever, and actually just being offensive. I think it was on Instagram. I saw Culture had posted like a brewery had done like a Crips and Bloods kind of like themed beers, and was getting called out for that. Like that's not inclusiveness. You're exploiting. You're perhaps mocking, belittling. Like it's coming across that way. Certainly not as like we feel welcome to this happening in this representation that way. So yeah, like you had said, great content. Check out Beer Culture for sure. But anyway, it's a little bit aside. But yeah, like it's that authentic thing. We had talked off camera last time. I think it was off camera. those hop and dank guys, guy and gal out in California, opening the brewery, all that stuff. But like that's like their big mission is spaces where they do feel included. You know, that's a big part of it. Is you want to see more ownership, more drinkers, and just being feeling safe, included, happy. People are happier there, kind of a thing. And there's a lot of stuff we can all do, better for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that there and everything. I was going to say, you just said something that kind of jarred my memory on one of the things. I was trying to think now back what it was from just like reading this book here. Just a lot of little bitty tidbits in it that make you think a little bit about what is actually going on in the community and how to get the people involved and how to get more people to the table. Because really, if you're in a business and you're after the dollars, you will want to have all the community involved that you can, right? So you not bringing everybody in is kind of excluding what you maybe have an opportunity to earn, which is a big part.
Yeah, you're bad at capitalism if you're excluding groups of people from buying your product. Yeah, like
Yeah.
take any like moral thing out of it. Just you're bad at capitalism. Like you're bad at making money.
Yeah, yeah. But he also has some stuff in here which is kind of nice to kind of give people some ideas to how to really get out to enjoy the beer. He kind of mentions it in passing about the pairing of stuff. The one thing I found in here, and it was kind of like the only technical thing that I found, was there was one thing where he mentioned the Victory at Sea as an imperial stout when it's really an imperial porter, but that's kind of just one of those technical kind of grammar type things that I saw in there. But spot on a lot of the different things, the breaking down of the beer, a little bit of the process. And, like I said, it's a big thing because you want to try to include as many people as you can to make it an evolved opportunity. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's easy for me to go to a brewery, brew fest, whatever. And yeah, like I feel like I belong. I look around, I see a sea of people who, have my complexion, my beard, my beer gut. Yes, I mean, it's, we talked about this again. I think it was off camera last time. Just like going, you alluded to it already, like being able to count very easily the non-white people. We had spoken. Like my wife who is a person of color. We'll play a game at beer fest and stuff. Count the non-white people. And last time we were at one, we were trying to get to I think 5 was our goal. We counted people who were working security there. It was. Like it's as funny as it is sad. I mean, it was just a sad reality, and you I don't know. There's a lot that can be done, and easy stuff. Just be nice to people, strike up a conversation. Like what beer are you drinking? Do you like it? Like this is what I'm drinking. These are the flavors I like. What do you look for in a beer? And just like you'd have a conversation with anyone at a brewery, and just as a consumer, like just as someone who would be at a bar or wherever, not as an owner. And I mean, you have even more things you can do if you own a facility. But
right.
Be a decent human, right?
Yeah, well, that's what it all comes down to. And then just shout out to the guys that are watching. Drunken One said hello, and Todd's in there says hello. Eric Gilbert says cheers as well. 21090s in the house. 21090s has some pretty good stuff there out of Maryland. They also said hello and cheers. And then they're all exchanging pleasantries between each other. But yes, so it's kind of like getting more of the people involved. But again, it's bringing that opportunity. So what can they do to bring that opportunity, right? So last year, we had the first year Fresh Fest, right, in Pittsburgh. And it was the first beer fest to celebrate pretty much black breweries, black brewers, things along those lines. And it was open to everybody, of course. When people first saw it, and they thought it was going to be just black people there. But no, it was open to everybody. And it was actually ranked as one of the top 10 beer fests in the country. And so people are pumped up to go this year in August, but it's having those opportunities out there to go across. And it's also getting those people involved in more of the breweries. And here in Cincinnati, we see a little bit more, I think, of a shift taking place because there's a lot of, there are a good amount, I say a lot, it's a good amount of people of color in some of the breweries, and there's some that are brewer. In fact, one of the brewers that was at Mantry, he started a new brewery with someone else called Esoteric Brewing, and they'll be the first racial, I go, what's the word I'm looking for? I would say person called minority ran brewery, I guess to say, right? So, and it's him, and then the guy he's working with, I think he might be Filipino Asian, I believe, but they're working together to start a brewery here. Everybody's pumped up about seeing that. And sometimes people will ask, well, why does it matter with the different communities, the different people of color? Because it matters because it opens up more of the opportunities and more of the experiences, and it makes it more of a well-rounded type situation that you have to get more people involved into it, and that drives more of the success of that, the more you have involved there.
Yeah, I mean, when we're having our secret white people meeting, you know, and I try to explain to them, what I mean when I talk about this stuff, it's just like my personal goal would be, you know, whatever percentage of America is, you know, different groups of people based on whatever, that you see that representation in all industry. Like that's my goal. I'm not trying to overrepresent anyone. I don't want anyone underrepresented. That's kind of my thing. And going back to Fresh Fest, if I remember correctly, there were also white-owned breweries, but then they would like brew a beer with like a you know member of the city or whatever who was like, you know, whoever, a person of color, and they would come up with a beer recipe if I remember correctly. So it was people of color, minority owned business, you know, breweries, and then some non ones, but they would bring in. So again, like as a white person in craft beer at that level, that's something that opens up. I know what's his name, I follow him on Instagram, bearded, what, Blackbeard Traveler, Black Bearded Traveler, something like that. But he like did a beer with a brewery recently. It was a chocolate stout, sounded good. Like just that kind of stuff. Again, opens up doors. It opens up access. You know, like I would imagine a person of color sees a local brewery did that, they could go there and feel like, I know I'm gonna be accepted here. I'm going to feel, you know, welcome and warm here. You know, it's not just playing hip hop. Like that's not, you know, what it is. You know, and I think that's something some people might fall back on, unfortunately. But if you like hip hop, I mean, he talks a lot about, you know, hip hop in the beginning and that stuff. I get it, but like that's the end all be all for including people. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing that you brought. That's what I was going to say earlier too. We were talking about a little bit of that. Is you know, let's take a look at the hip hop angle, right? So it's funny because in craft beer, there's a lot of breweries that come out with things that are kind of a hip hop theme type beer. We see it here in Cincinnati a good amount of times with Listerman, right? And some of the other ones that'll come out. It's kind of like when you don't see people of color there, you're kind of like, but you're putting out hip hop type stuff too. So it becomes like, to some, a misappropriating of the genre, of the people, and things along those lines too. And I think that was kind of what you were hitting on there before. It's kind of like you're doing this, but you don't have it out there. It's kind of like, you know, why are you doing this way if you don't have a lot of people in there? Why don't you just, if you're going to do it and you want to do the musical thing, why not do it a certain way where maybe it's not as much of a strong, I guess, I won't say black presence in the music or whatever, but like kind of something else that you might, I don't know. I don't know why. It's funny because some of the best sellers, like they had Listen at one of the 99 Problems was a big one for them. They had a big one that was Biggie Smalls, a big one that was Tupac, so many other ones that are out there, but it's kind of like you don't have the people in there that people are seeing as well. So it's kind of like when you come in there, and again, if you're coming in there as a black person of color and you're looking and you're kind of like, well, that's kind of weird seeing that on the beer, because then you're looking around like, I don't see any black people in here. So,
no, for sure, it's empty. You know, that it's hollow. You're surface level doing something, and I'm supposed to take that, like, you know, it's like a human being, right? It's what's on the inside. It's like, what are you guys actually doing? And a quick plug and shout out for the book too. Speaking of actually doing things, I saw that anyone who buys this book in June, the sales goes to buying needy kids school supplies, and their goal is to help 20 families. It's like, that's the stuff I'm talking about. Like,
yeah,
trying to actually, you know, use your business to do something bigger.
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the book, I think it was like $9 something or $10 something. It wasn't that expensive for the book at all. Yeah. And you know, even in here, like for people that are learning out, he kind of gives some suggestion on different beers that might be the beers you want to take a look at in certain categories. And some of the beers he's mentioned, some I've had, and he's on point with the stuff. I mean, so he pretty much came in kind of self-teaching himself on a lot of this stuff because he didn't have that avenue as he talks about in here. And because of one happening because of Guinness that got him to switch over and looking at the new stuff, and out of what used to be pretty much the 40-ounce type world. So I think the opportunity is there. And like I said, I've talked to the Brewers Association in the past, and they've told me they're trying to look at doing more things like that. But then I ask them stuff, and I never hear anything really on it either. So it's kind of like more and more breweries that are making these missteps. You would think they would try to enact or become more things. I know, like I said, they say it's a focus, but saying and actually doing are two different things. So
Yeah, I mean, it's no. I mean, to be, I guess it, it is challenging. I mean, we don't have 100, step by step. Here's what you do to be inclusive, but there are definitely things. I guess it's just trying to get like to a level where they're obviously building a community that feels welcoming
mhm.
and it's authentic. Yeah, if you're in a city and there's a certain, again, to give to representation, different groups of people, like I would like to go into an establishment and kind of see that reflected in who's working there. Like
Right.
it's kind of, again, not to beat a dead horse, that's kind of my goal. It's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's kind of funny. You think about, like I said, we were talking about, like, black person walks in, like asking, kind of looking around, where are the black people? Oh, they're like white people. Where are the black people? Where are the black people? There's no black people here.
Yeah, I mean,
like, how do we get more black people in, or how do we get, or is it maybe not a question that's that? I don't know. It's just kind of a thing out there. You would think, like, it's just
well,
funny. Like,
maybe more like maybe bars don't think about it much, but like you were saying about breweries and like untapped markets, I don't know who it's easier for to kind of, yeah, go after that dollar, like for whatever reasons motivating you. But there is, as you said, untapped money to be made. Like there's untapped markets.
right,
You know, how do you authentic? Yeah, like the flavored. Or, well, I used to drink flavored St. Ides. Not all St. Ides is flavored, but the malt liquor, the 40s. Were so specifically marketed. You don't want craft breweries doing it that exploitative way again. But you want,
right,
how do you make that authentic? How do you make that real? If you're a white owned brewery, how do you authentically show everyone like, now we're about you?
right,
And there are a lot of ways, I guess. It's
yeah,
Pride Month right now. Like, did you throw up a thing on Instagram like you guys are cool with, gay people, and like, yep, like we got you. We if it's Black History Month, like whatever, are you throwing up? Did you do the Pink Boots Society and have females come in and help you brew a beer and you're releasing it? Like, are you doing the ALS, where a lot of breweries do, brew a beer that raises funds? Like, are you doing these opportunities to show like, yeah, we're into it for everyone. We're trying to help all groups of people. We're trying to get in all groups of people. You know, I
yeah.
guess we should start a brewery and fix all these problems. I don't know.
But hey, that's what it always comes down to, right? I'm going to start one and do it this way. This way will actually solve the world's problems. But like I said, it's a matter of, I guess it's a matter of time. It's more things being learned as things go. I think the timing of the book was a good time to have something like that come out, because there are questions that came up, and on the heels of some of the stuff as mentioned earlier, not just with that brewery, but founders, but with other breweries, it's a question that needs to be asked out there, and it's kind of like those things, like you'll see something and it's kind of like, whether it's in the brewing industry or a certain industry, you're kind of like, I bet there wasn't a person of that stature in that decision room when they came up with this, because they're going to get slammed on something, right? And it's kind of like, what were you guys thinking when you put it together? Like, no one said this was a bad idea, because you got all the people of the same mind. You don't have that outside person looking in and say, you might not want to do that because of A, B, and C. And I think breweries need to learn that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you and I have talked about like founders to, because they're a great example of this. And like, okay, they've taken some steps at this point. Neither one of us are okay with that so far. We're still kind of seeing what else is coming, and have taken the same policy about founders. But
Yeah.
because you can make mistakes that are not malicious.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, like Dark Horse, like, yeah, like let's see what the next steps look like, and then if I feel comfortable, like you really, were trying to change and learn and actually evolve as a person, and that's part of unfortunately, that's part of the struggle with many industries, including craft beer, and it sucks that you and I are like so into this industry that is as flawed that way as every other industry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's part of the business cycle, trying to get that all done and worked on. But there's certain ways to do it. It's kind of like the whole founders thing. So they said they hired a person as a diversity chief or whatever, but nobody's ever seen as diversity chief. There's never been anything been put out about diversity chief. There's nothing of any credentials. So you said you hired, but if you were thinking you want to get ahead of this, you would have that person out there doing stuff, or you'd be doing different things. You would want that acknowledgement, but yet they kind of went back to just resting on their laurels. In my mind, is what I'm believing. So
No, I feel the same way. And I mean, maybe I'm being too nosy, but like I kind of want to know specifically what are they doing? Like
right,
what does that training look like? I mean, I've talked a little bit before in other videos. I'm a teacher, and we have trainings about this stuff, like making sure we treat all of our students well, and equity, equality. Understand different perspectives, backgrounds, for an infinite number of reasons. Like, yeah, when you interact with other human beings, it's helpful to understand other human beings. And Founders was not doing a good job of that. So how are they getting it better? Yeah, I want to know.
yeah. And then Drunken One says, "Wait a second, Rod is black." So yeah, Drunken One, our good old guy down in Texas, they're a good guy. JP4's in the house, says, "Hey guys," as well. So, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's a book I definitely recommend. I mean, it's something that I think any person from any group can kind of get something out of it. I mean, as far as getting a perspective from what it's like for someone outside of the normal, which you would usually see in a brewery, but then at the same point, learning some basics about the beer as well. That it really does lay down a nice little baseline and really put it together. Like I said, you read this in just a couple days or so. I mean, if that, it's 89 pages and it's a pretty easy read to get through and gives you some suggestions, take a look at on some beers. So yeah, I was happy I picked it up, and I had been talking with them, and I told them I was going to get that at a point and take a look at it and stuff too. And it's good stuff. It's good. So, I mean, it takes more and more of that to get more of it out involved in everything. Because I know there's certain groups out there that I'm part of, groups that are kind of like off the radar, not really getting hit up by a lot of stuff. And then when new beers come up or new breweries are happening, a lot of times it's kind of like there's discussions about, how come this didn't happen or that didn't happen type situation too, So it's kind of like, we do notice as a person of color, but it's kind of like, we want to make it better because we like all drinking all the same type of beer. I mean, there were a lot of guys in the group that I was in that loved Founders that won't do Founders now. They did when there was people that were in Michigan that went to Founders and found out different things there, why they wouldn't go back. So it's kind of like the word gets around to different things and stuff too. So, and I just think there's opportunities that can be made out there. But good perspective, definitely a good book to check out. This ain't the beer that you're used to. Dom Ducci Cook, if you get a chance, take a look at it. Like I said, in the description, I have it in there for the Culture site, and then I also have it for Amazon site. Because I think on the Culture site, they might be sold out. I think they said they may have went through everything they had on there, so they may be getting more reprints there now. But I think it's on Amazon.
I got mine on Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I got mine at too, but it's like, what's not on Amazon? I'm gonna need a new kidney. Well, go to Amazon. So Amazon kidney 1-day shipping. So but speaking of beer, what beer are you drinking tonight?
So actually, I tried to do a beer by a brewery owned by someone who is not white, and I got luckily someone had shipped me some beers from 18th Street. So I got 18th Street's Hunter, which is a
nice,
imperial milk stout with lactose, well, obviously lactose, and then cacao nibs. It's delicious. I'll be posting a review of it. But yeah, it was sad. I went to my cellar. I'm like, well, I have some Brooklyn beer, and oh wait, someone sent me some 18th Street, so I could actually do something like I was thinking. I almost wore my Black Panther shirt too, but I thought that'd be overkill for me.
You're such a radical. I was actually just drinking one of the barrel aged Innocent Gun.
Nice.
Blood Red Sky. So rum barrel red beer. Actually, it's light for a barrel beer, 6.8% ABV, but goes down rather easily, especially after traveling and stuff. So I I did get some beers when I was down in Dallas, which I'm gonna have to do it on sharing video on that as well. Some of the ones went to Total Wine for the first time,
Nice.
so that was kind of interesting to check out Total Wine and what they had to offer. And it's a funny thing. I always talk about in the videos about checking the dates on beer. And I literally went, I was going through checking the dates, and I've got all the good ones that I wanted to get, but it was like I found some in there from data like 2017 that were like, like a wheat ale, which isn't going to be that good right now.
Yeah.
Some like early 2018, like you got to check dates on stuff. And I found a couple that didn't have it, so I just didn't get it because I didn't want to trust it. So I didn't know it. So
Yeah, my dad got me. My birthday was relatively recently. My dad got me a bunch of beer from Florida when he was down there, and yeah, quite a few IPAs from 2018. Yeah,
yeah. Just like nobody's rotating out here. I mean, I know you guys are trying to still sell and make your money back on them, but at this point, just put them in the basket. When they're so old, you can't really sit there and enjoy it as much. So, but Todd says nice beer. He loves 18th Street. So, and then is 18th Street the one that I had at the Devil's Conclave? I think it was. Let me take a look
they're out
here.
of what is it, Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana, right?
Yeah.
I think Todd actually sent me that one with Devil's Conclave was
Nice.
18th Street.
Yeah, what I've had, I've really enjoyed. I've had mostly hoppy beers. I think this is the first one I've had from them that isn't like a pale ale IPA, double IPA.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'm up to maybe 5. And I just started seeing some distributed in New York State. I lucked out. Josh, who sent these to me. These are not 2 of the beers that I've seen in New York State, so lucked out big time. And I happen to have a glass. Someone randomly in a trade years ago sent me a glass, but none of their beer. Just like it was an 18th Street glass, but none of the beer to go in it. So.
And Todd said, yes, that was one he sent me. That Devil's Conclave, that milk stout, definitely worth a get if you can get that there. That's solid. Yeah, they're out of Hammond, Indiana.
Nice.
And then he sent me the Fox and the Hunted also, which was really good. So that was like a Imperial Porter, I believe. So some good stuff. I want to get up to, I want to say Toledo at some point because Black Frog is up there. That's Chris Harris. He's a brewer. He's been making some great strides up there and everything. And each year he makes like a sweet potato beer that people seem to love up there, and he sells out real quick. So, but he's not at a point where he's canned or anything yet. I need to get to the brewery. So, but it's tough getting to some of these breweries. I mean, if you see the video where I just went down to the one in Dallas, I mean, they had a nice little setup. They're actually about to do their 40th anniversary. They're going to a bigger one, but the brewery we're in, like no air conditioning. They had the big fans going. So really, you're blowing hot air trying to make it cool. Beers were tasty though, but it's kind of like, you sit down, you're not sweating as much, but it's kind of like you're at that lull, like you don't want to even get up or do anything because it's like so humid almost or hot or whatever you want to call it. But they're going to be going to a new facility. They were telling me when I was down there, but good guys and a little bit older guys. And we went through and talked about it. It was funny. One of the guys I was talking to was talking about he used to be like a freight person delivering stuff and always got to go out to the brewery, deliver things and really like their beers. He's like, I got to find a way to get on here and pretty much made a switch. He's like, what can I do? And he started from doing stock type stuff for him and that, and kind of brought him in to where he works there now doing things. But he was drinking so much of the beer. He's like, it's cutting to my money. I need to just get a job here where I can drink this and not have to spend as much as I'm spending. So he ended up getting on with that brewery, which is nice.
That's a good plan. Yeah, cut down on spending money on beer, work at a brewery, get some free beer. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But it's funny when you talk about people that get into some of the beer type stuff and, they change careers over because that's what they went to follow and that's what they really enjoyed. So
that's what he did. He talks about in the book, like they uprooted and everything and went follow his dream there. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was it was a pretty good trip down there. And we also got Backwoods Billiard House says cheers, guys, and he's saying hello to everyone. And then Todd said maybe they were trying to make the beer taste better by making it hot. Oh well, no, I don't think it was. Although the Hefeweizen did go over well in that heat, that's for sure. So, but yeah, so had some like I did a couple flights there, like I did on the video and stuff, and then went to another place, which right across from the hotel. good fortune had like a brew house right across the street. So I went there a couple times and tried some of the other local beers. Problem was you couldn't do flights there, you could buy pints. So it's kind of like I tried a few and I was like, okay, well, I gotta cut it off now.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. You don't want to do a flight of
Yeah.
pints, no.
Yeah. But I had a couple of guys that were trying to get me to get over to Dallas because we were actually in the Fort Worth area. So we get a chance to get over to the Dallas area, like downtown Dallas, where there were some other breweries that wanted me to check out and stuff. But it's kind of nice. You know, you build these networks as we do with all the different people in the beer, like from us doing the videos or the reviews or people that are working in the industry. It's kind of like you go to a city, it's like, I went to get beers and all kind of stuff, and my mother-in-law was trying to tell me where to go. I already got it. So I was like, I already got people. I said, what do you mean you got people? I got people all over the country, anywhere I go, to find me. She was just amazed. Like I already knew where to go and all that kind of stuff. And what I did find out for the first time, though, traveling, you're actually allowed to store beer in your suitcase, which I didn't realize. I didn't know that before. I don't know if you knew that or not, but beer, you can be unlimited. Anything under 25% ABV. If it's like over that, you're limited to like a liter if it's like liquor or something. But so I was going to ship it back to myself, but the cost of shipping it back was just the same amount if I went ahead and packed it. And I have to wait a couple of days. So I packed it in. They all made it back safe and sound, make sure it was secure in there, put them in some bags in case anything did pop open. We had some turbulence on the plane. I was a little worried, like they're bouncing around. So I was going to have a casualty, but they all made it good. So I'll be uploading that video probably tomorrow.
I've done that a couple of times. I've done like maybe like 1 or 2 bottles or cans, just mixed in my normal luggage. I did.
Yeah.
First time I went over to Belgium, I got a bunch of Westerleven, or however you pronounce it correctly, Westy 12, how I would say it. But those awesome, hard to get Belgian, quads and everything. And I put as many as I could, in my suitcase. And across the Atlantic Ocean, they all made it somehow.
Yeah.
But, it's a good move when you're traveling. It's a good move.
Yeah. Well, now that I know it, and I was like, I'm like thinking, like, I think there might be some suitcases you can actually get now where they kind of cut in for you to be able to put stuff in there to check. So, I might get an extra bag for that and everything. I mean, it's $30 when I fly Delta. It's $30 for a bag, and if I was going to ship it back, it would have been that amount anyway. So, not losing anything there. In fact, I ended up buying like Scotch tape and bubble wrap and all this other stuff. I thought I was going to be boxing it, but I just used it in the suitcase instead. So
no, it's a good. I've done the same thing. It's a good move.
Yeah. And take care, JP. JP said he had nice chat, but he had to fly. So appreciate you being here. And Billy says you should check out Metroplex Gym. It's wherever a few big name bodybuilders work out. Old school gym, no AC in a warehouse. It's in Texas. Like, no, thank you. Not just because of the heat, but because of the aroma as well, I'm sure. Kid trying to bench and someone's funky all around you. No, I don't want you spotting me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. But that's awesome. Again, I would say if you like beer, you like reading about it, you like an easy read, I would say check out the book. Right now, you'd have to buy it. I don't know, at some point, maybe you'll be in a library or something, but definitely a nice one to check out there. Anything you want to say closing or I know before you that I do want to thank everybody because I was going to do a short video the other day and I couldn't get it uploaded when I was out of town, but to thank everybody for the support and everything for getting over 1,000. So I'm over the 1,000 hump. So now it's on to I got to get the Watchmen. It's funny though. I wanted to set up this video tonight, and it's like, do you want to enable super chat? And it's like, I can enable super chat. It's like, nah, not really, because you're not monetized. You can't enable super chat. So it's like they give you the button to hit, but you can't hit it until you're actually monetized, or whatever. But anyway, it's good to be over 1,000. It kind of sucks because I was already monetized before when they made that switch with YouTube, but it is what it is. It's their platform and it's their game, and we're following their rules. But I did want to thank everybody for the support. Everybody came by and subscribed, and haven't forgotten about everybody in their comments. I just been traveling so much, so tomorrow I'll probably be getting everybody's comments and responding back to everybody that I may have missed. And you know how it is. You got a channel, Kyle. It's tough sometimes to stay up on everything.
It is. No, it is. And congratulations on 1,000. That's amazing. Well deserved. You deserve that. And like, it's one of my favorite parts. I love it. I mean, at the end of every video, I'm like, comment, blah, 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 blah. and then sometimes you feel bad. It's like, oh crap, I haven't responded yet. But yeah, one of my favorite parts of it. But yeah, it can be challenging running a channel for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's fun. I love doing it. Even if it is more a hobby or whatever, it's great to have fun and being able to do this. It kind of sucks. I mean, I would have liked to have done more this weekend with the live streaming, but being mobile and I didn't have my laptop with me, I couldn't set up live stream. Like I would have set up a live stream when I was at that brewery, or I tried to actually in a couple different apps, and none of them will work correctly. So I missed those opportunities, but just got to power through. When I have when I have my laptop, I will be able to do more of those type of things. So one of the breweries that I did the video on, Darkness Brewing, speaking with them, I'm going to probably try to do something like once a month, maybe just broadcast live from their brewery. They're really open to it. Just come down there, shoot video, um, catch all the people coming through and stuff like that and everything. And then little chats here and there, different beers they're putting up. So that would be kind of a cool thing. So now that I'm kind of got everything leveled out, my nephew's graduation, work schedule, all that kind of stuff, that should be upcoming here. Probably set something up next month or so for that.
That's awesome, man. Nice.
Yeah. But what do you got upcoming on your channel and everything?
Um, just beer reviews at this point. I have some ideas I'm toying with. I've been getting into podcasts, and kind of makes me want to do a podcast. I don't know if I'll take the plunge or not. But I've been kind of looking into equipment and stuff a little bit, so maybe. Um, yeah, I got just definitely beer reviews. I'm definitely committed to that. I love doing that. But yeah, maybe a podcast, and then I don't know. We've talked off camera a little bit if you can make it or not, but I'm really excited for Matt from Massive Beer Reviews, Beer Tuba Palooza coming up in next month, end of next month, middle of next month, whatever it is next month. So yeah, that should be fun. Meet some other people in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Joe, the Beer Patrol. They just had the thing when he went to meet the guys in Canada, so they all had a blast and they're all putting up videos and stuff too. So
Yeah,
that's
those
always
are
a
cool
cool
to watch.
experience. Yeah. And on Saturdays I pop in and out like on Joe D's show, but last year I got to meet Mark. Mark came through Cincinnati, so we went over to Mad Tree. We met for the first time and had some beers, had a good time talking and stuff. Todd, who's in the chat here, he came up from Indiana before, took him to Beer Fest with me. We worked Beer Fest at a blast. It's cool to meet all the people that we're meeting and everything like that. But it's funny. It's kind of like when you meet them, it's like you know them, even though you never met them. It's kind of like, depending on how strong the relationship was, it's almost like, you already know so much about each other. It's like you've seen an old friend or something, so which is cool.
I mean, it's super cool. I mean, I met a few people, the Nerd Sense guys, Matt from Massive, like in real life, and it's like, oh yeah, you're cool in real life too. Shocker. And you feel instantly comfortable because you watch them, you interact with them, you know them. Yeah, it's super cool. It really is. Yeah. And it's cool, like, as a viewer. Like, I remember you were at the Party Source. And I didn't know that. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, Rod Jason, wait, what's happening? It's like a comic book thing. Like, who's in this issue? Like, how many people are, it's like, well, these two people I watched separately are together in a video. It's cool,
Oh, it's funny.
In this, like, in real life, they're together.
Because J.O.'s always like, hey, let's do a video. You're here. Let's do something. All right, let's do something. We do something. And then a couple of other Kentucky guys come up there as well. So we have them. And we also have John, who has his beer channel down in Louisville, Kentucky. So we need to do something where we all get together up there at some point. But I need to catch up with J.O. J.O.'s doing the cigar type things as well. And really good stuff on his channel. So he does that like on, I think, Tuesday nights he does that. So, and then he does the whiskeys on Wednesdays. But it's kind of cool. He's like 15 minutes from me. So it's like right here in the area. So we get to hang out a little bit.
I didn't realize you guys were that close. That's awesome.
Yeah. And let's see. Billy says you have to watch cans with small and mid-sized craft brewing companies. They cannot afford to have a closed canning system that bag charges with nitrogen so they can explode with that atmosphere pressure, which I was worried about that. I was worried about us going up, how high we were going if the cans could explode, but they held in, so we were in good shape. And he said, congratulations on 1,000 subs, and I appreciate that, Billy, as well. And then Eastwind's in the house, says, hey, Rod. So what's up, Eastwind? He's actually up north there. Welcome, brother. And Yeah, so they all came back in one piece, which was nice. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got so many beers downstairs now. I was like, oh, here's some more to throw in there, right? So, which is always funny when you're buying beers now. You're like, okay, well, what's this style? What's this ABV? When do I have to drink this by? Because if I got other stuff, can I put it to the back and I got to put it to the front and put something else back? What do I have to put? All these different decisions that go in your head when you're buying beer nowadays.
Yeah, I felt bad. My dad told me, like, when he was giving me all this beer, he's like, "Yeah, after I bought all this, you and I were talking. He told me you were like stressed about how much beer you had, and I already had your birthday present of all this beer." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's cool. I'll get to it." The burden of this awesome birthday gift. Yeah,
Yeah, throw it in the rack in the back. Now you've done a beer cellar video before,
yes, yeah.
and so you do got a nice beer cellar. So if you guys haven't seen Kyle's beer cellar video, make sure you check him out. And if you don't have No Hype beer reviews down, sub to him. Make sure you sub to him because he's got some really good stuff. His link is also in the description as well. Yeah, you got a lot of good things happening there. So.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's fun to do. It is. It's so
Yeah.
much fun, and again, interacting with people, whether it's something like this or comments or whatever. Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then, like in the chat, I mean, a lot of good guys in there too. So if you guys, I know a lot of you guys already know each other, but if you don't, make sure you guys check out each other. Drunken One's in there who does different things with the beer and the brewing, and Backwoods Billy does the beer brewing, knows the beer stuff, BJCP, all that kind of stuff. 21090's in there with brewing as well, and all the good things he's doing. Which 21090 at some point they're going to have the beer I sent to them for the Kentucky beer series for their state series, which is kind of cool. So if you haven't seen the state series on 21090, they're getting beers from different states and kind of doing videos on them. So make sure you check out their channel as well. Some good stuff. Eastwind doesn't really do the beer stuff. He does different things on his channel, but he does enjoy beer and other things as well. So make sure you check him out for a nice, fun time. And then JP4 does a lot of different things. He does a lot of gaming stuff too, but he has some different stuff. He always enjoys beer, I think, as well. So some pretty good guys in there. So it's always good to check out the other channels and share to get expertise.
Yeah, no, I mean I found your channel through Joe from the Beer Patrol, and like so you and I know each other because we found from someone else. So yeah, I agree 100%. Like the Nerd Sense guys, I mean, I talk to those guys every single day. I got into them through Chauncey at All Things Beer 510. Like you need to check out other people because you'll be impressed. You'll make the connections. Yeah. You'll be a new fan or whatever. Yeah, it's totally worth it. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing is it's tough because there's so many different people doing the beer. It's like the one thing I like, and I'll use you as an example is you, and I'll say Joe as well, really get detailed as far as you hit the details on the beer, but you also make it fun to watch the video to keep everybody involved and do everything along those lines. And you can tell you put some research into it. And that's the thing that I think if you're going to do the channel, you're doing the stuff, you got to be able to put the stuff into it as well. Because I think I'm starting to see more and more beer channels pop up. And it's just like, are you really reviewing the beer? Or are you just like kind of tasting it? Because guys will be like, I don't like this or I like that. But they don't really give you any feedback on it sometimes. So I think it's good. Like when you set yourself apart, Joe sets himself apart. A lot of the other guys, Billy, he does his stuff. He sets himself apart there as well. Kind of some different things out there. So, but as long as you're enjoying it, you're having a good time with it, it makes it nice.
Yeah, and that'll come through to people watching, which is important. I mean, you want to see it. I keep using the word authentic, but you want to see it like, oh yeah, this is real. They're enjoying it. They want to be doing this. And it's cool, like when people, they kind of find their groove, like what works for them, for sure, like Joe from the Beer Patrol. I mean, his thing is like doing other half beers. Like that's what he does. Is he just other half?
That's why he's the other half sniper. That's what we call him. So yeah, he's always doing the other half stuff.
Other half, and then making fun of himself. He's so self-deprecating. He makes fun of himself. You know what you're talking about. Have the confidence. You're good. Yeah,
At some point, Joseph goes third person on every video he does. So yeah.
It's true.
And then Rick's Barbecue in Blackstone says hello from San Antonio. New here. I'm all about barbecue, but love craft beer. Welcome. Appreciate you chiming in and joining the show here. And if you're doing barbecue stuff, I'll definitely check out your channel. In fact, one of the things I'm trying to do more is get some more collab going with some of the guys that are doing the food channels.
Yeah.
Because I want to get some parent type videos up as well on the channel. So, if a guy's making a type of brisket, what kind of beer might go with it type thing. I'm trying to evolve. One of the things, like, one of the people that told me that watches the channels, they like that I'm always trying different things, so they don't know what they're going to always catch on here. And that's, I think, a key. You're always trying to evolve into different stuff and having fun with it and finding what different people like. And I just don't want to get, like, pigeonholed into just, this is just going to be a beer review channel, or this is just going to be something over here or whatever. So it's been fun. So I just kind of like to toy with different things. So maybe it's just ADHD. I don't know, but I like to have a good time and try stuff and share different things so that people can enjoy and see different things. So,
well, and that's like what I was saying about, people find their groove. Like, yeah, I also like that about you for sure. And like in my mind, I'm like, I just want to do beer reviews. But then I watch other people do different things. I'm like, oh, that is cool. Like I want to do something like that or that exact thing and steal it and not give them credit. But
that's how corporate society's done, or
right,
capitalism works, right? Yeah.
But yeah, like so then it's like, oh, maybe I should. Like I'm really enjoying listening to beer podcasts. Maybe I should produce it. I'm saying, like, as much as when I got into it, I'm like, I'm just gonna do beer reviews, and then people can search for a beer, and then maybe my face pops up and they watch it. But then I see other people doing different things. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, and the food stuff for sure. I mean, the 21090 guys have posted some, like, they just posted an event where they went to like a Trogs dinner. So they went to a restaurant that had Trogs beers paired with meals, and I love that. Every minute of that video, I'm like, that's it. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely awesome. That's the kind of stuff that I want to try to get involved in more. And I already got Rick down. So I think we met on one of the other live streams. So I already have Rick's stuff here. Again, it's a matter of catching up on everybody's videos and stuff. But yeah, I think doing things like that, make it fun, keep it interesting. You have all these different ideas. It's kind of like, what do you want to actually put out there? In my mind, I look at like your YouTube channel kind of like as a network.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have to work during the course of the day, each hour I have a different show as a different segment, kind of like a network type channel and stuff. So when you have to work and everything, you're limited on when you can be on and when you can do stuff. So you're trying to pick up different things. That's why some people will do a certain thing every Tuesday, a certain thing every Wednesday, a certain thing every Thursday. But it's kind of like then you're limited to maybe 7, if you can get the 7 in, because sometimes you just can't get them all in every day. But so everybody's been so supportive. Everything's been kind of fun and definitely been appreciating that. And, if somebody says, well, that idea was just, didn't work because of this, and this, it'll be nice feedback and stuff too. So, I'm all about the positive or the negative feedback, whatever happens. That's the thing that sucks when people give you a thumbs down. They don't tell you why they gave you a thumbs down.
Yeah.
You don't know, what is it, the thumbs down you didn't like about it? So maybe it was a beer you reviewed, they really liked it, and you thought wasn't that good, but it's like, is that worth a thumbs down because you had a different opinion on it? I wish they had to say why they gave you a thumbs down, just for the critique part of it,
Yeah. No, I wonder the same thing. Like, is it me? Is it the beer itself? Is it? And I've noticed, like, I think a couple of times, like doing like a Goose Island Bourbon County beer, like I get a couple of thumbs down. It's like, that's probably people who are down because it's not craft beer. So
yeah.
At least that's what I tell myself. It's probably me, but I'll say it's the beer.
Well, it's kind of like, I've known some people before that have had, like, I guess you could say YouTube envy. Like, they were like, other people will have more views than they have, and they're upset about it. Like, what's it matter? They're doing their channel, you're doing your channel. They're doing stuff differently. Maybe they keyworded differently. Maybe their SEO kicked in. Maybe they tell a different story than you tell. I don't get caught up in all of that, but it's funny when I hear people talk about that. Like, I don't understand why I got this and they got that, and they've only been doing it for a month, and I've been doing it for 2 years. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't have a tough life at all, but like, I wish that could be a problem in my life. Like, I wish I could register, like, oh, they got more views than me. Like, I wish I could care about. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
because people are petty. Some people are petty.
Some people are, right? It's kind of funny when you actually see that come across. So it's kind of like crazy.
I like to think like the beer tube community is kind of like breweries where you collaborate sometimes, like you're just rooting for each other to be successful. It's not really a competition. It's just like you're doing your thing. Every once in a while, we kind of come together and do maybe a thing together, and that's cool. And it's
Right.
kind of part of craft beer is this community piece, you know. And I don't know, maybe I'm too chill about it. I've never felt competitive with people. There's my beer tube channel that I do for fun, you know. Yeah.
Well, I think most of the community is that way. I think most of the community is very supportive of each other, willing to help out, willing to provide any type of details or assistance. But I think, like most things, you might have a small fraction that are just
Yeah.
that way,
Yeah.
but I don't really get caught up into any of that. But it's just funny because I'll hear it and it's kind of like the grumblings of it is like, really, that's bothers you of all the things that could bother you. So,
There's always people who weren't hugged enough as a child, you know,
right.
they grew up angry at the world for a silly thing. Yeah, I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, so it is what it is. And then Billy said, "Yeah, beer and wine pair with food is awesome." Um, Rick says, "Heck yeah, let me know, sir. Willing to try anything regarding the beer and barbecue." Yeah, definitely. We could try to do something for sure. I got to just get connected. I just said earlier, I don't know if you were here. I'm just getting kind of settled in after traveling. Everything's kind of behind me now. Just got back from my nephew's graduation in Dallas this past weekend and got everything else all situated for not going anywhere for a while. So yeah, definitely want to get some stuff out there. I've also got some other people that I'm looking to bring it in from other areas, like a couple people from Instagram and Twitter to do some stuff on here that have their stuff they're doing in the beer world too. So hopefully I'm going to really see some different things for you guys here in the second half of the year. They're going to pop up that you guys will like. Billy said a few brewing companies have paired with food nights at local restaurants. Yeah, we actually have a few places here that they would do parents. So, for instance, one of my spots where I actually buy liquor, Depps, they actually have beer dinners where they actually will get some food and everything, but they'll bring in a brewery where they'll do like 4 or 5 different tastings with the brewer. And it's like, $10 on that. I think it's cheaper than it should be. But you get to go in there, you'll meet with the brewery, talking. For me, it's great because I get connected with them and get a lot more information that can really, find out a lot of good stuff about them and everything. But yeah, anytime you go to a nice pairing for the food and everything and the beer, I think they're pretty awesome to do. People don't realize like how certain things can enhance when you put them together like that. So
Yeah, the ones I've been to have been amazing. They're just such a fun, and I've done very small breweries who partner up with a local restaurant and they rock it. I went to Omegang one time. They flew up a chef from like DC to New York to run their kitchen with his staff and come up with these super pairings and I mean it's just every level I've done it at has been at the very least fun. At the very least, best you're having fun and then it's delicious. Yeah.
yeah. And then 210, he said, thanks for saying that, no hype. We always try to push the envelope for new content, but it's always around beer. Yeah. So 21090 is definitely on it. They're doing the same thing on their channel as well. Rick asked if we heard of Twisted X Brewing Company. I have not heard of Twisted X Brewing Company.
Me neither.
They might be out of Texas down there. Billy says, yeah, I love beer, wine, whiskey, and food, as well as working out in the gym, plus running, swimming, scuba diving, snorkeling, hiking. So Billy's all over. And the Eclipse is in the house, says, hey, guys. So he's actually out of Washington. That's Steven. Welcome. And the two texts that he had not heard of the Twisted X as well. And Eclipse said, yeah, definitely algorithm is a real thing. Yeah, with the YouTube algorithm and how they do stuff. That affects how your stuff maybe going to see. Like a lot of people don't really, and it's funny because I was talking to another YouTube creator who gave me the other idea of doing like what I would call like maybe tech in a beer. So basically I was showing him how to do OBS type stuff on his channel. We were doing one of the live streams and he was really appreciative of it. He's like, you should do something like this, blah, blah. And I was like, I hadn't really thought about doing it because I don't consider myself to be the IT techie kind of guy, but I know a lot of that stuff there. I'm like, I probably could do something like, beer with tech or whatever I want to call it type thing and kind of walk through that stuff. So that's a great thing when you're talking to other creators, these other ideas that pop up. But like the algorithm, people don't realize like when you're looking into your stuff, if you're not looking into your analytics and you're running the YouTube channel, you're missing opportunities to find out what is actually going to drive your channel because it used to be the clicks was a driving factor, which is in this case now. Now it's actually more about the watch time. And you have to see what people are watching. And then if you go into your analytics on your video, you'll have watch time and then you'll also see what retention is. and you want your retention to be at least 50%. And if you're getting lower than 50%, then the algorithm will actually kick you down. And a lot of people don't know that kind of stuff out there. So I don't know. You go in your analytics, you usually check those out, or
I check them every once in a while. I'm not great about it. And again, off camera, you and I've had a conversation about our wives and their expectation of our channels. She pushes me like,
yeah,
download this app to maximize when you post to Instagram and all this kind of stuff. So I've been trying to be more aware of it for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of new content, you had given me an idea when you did the spotlight video, which again, amazing stuff, and the collaboration is awesome. I had thought of like doing like a proper edited, produced like what beer would they drink about fictional characters. You had asked me a like rapid fire like
like the Marvel character. Yeah.
I'm like, that's a cool idea. So yeah, I mean, I guess I have more ideas I'm giving myself credit for, but yeah, but that would take more time than just one take beer review, then I'm done. Having to edit and research and find images that might make sense. But yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because it's funny when we had that conversation months ago. Because I finally last weekend or 2 weekends ago saw the Avengers.
Yeah,
so I finally saw Endgame, right? And so of course we were given Fat Thor in the movie, but Thor was drinking beer
and craft beer.
Yeah, and so that would be a great start for you. I was watching the Avengers. Thor was doing this kind of beer, made me start to think what other superheroes will drink what beer.
Yeah,
and then you got your roll right into it. So.
Yeah. Well,
but
you came up with the idea that I'm stealing. Yeah.
Well, my background's in marketing, but you mentioned the wives. It's funny. This is actually a business plan that my wife had written out about the channel and the different things that I can do. So when Kyle talks about our wives trying to drive us on this, they pretty much do. So
it's real. Yeah, no, I was trying to get a laugh, but no, it's real. Yeah.
Well, I think they figure you're putting this much time and we need to start doing something with it then, right? So
yeah,
which would be great because I would love to be like some type of consultant, all that kind of stuff. And that was my job. Like I said, ultimately, if I ever been into a position where I was like Guy Fieri and I'm just going around talking to breweries and trying beer, that would be the dream job. I can just ride off into the sunset with that, baby.
I watch that show all the time as a fan, but yeah, I can't help thinking how awesome a craft beer version of that would be. And yeah, and you can do the food at the breweries too, or whatever. But like, how amazing! But it's advertising.
He tries it. He tells you what it tastes like, gives you a little feedback, and then he sits down with people to get their feeling on it. Which we do that like when we're doing stuff in breweries, talking to people about it. So it's kind of like it should be out there. It should be done. There's an opportunity out there.
I think it's macro beer advertising dollars. I think that's what killed that Dogfish Head show. Is like they're like, well, we're not going to advertise our beer on a show that's like crapping on non-craft beer. I think that's probably why. Because I mean, it's as we know, craft beer is booming. There's a market for television shows about it, but I think,
and we know that the macros are buying the craft breweries. So, so they know it's actually working. So it's funny. Let me see here. And the Eclipse asked Todd if you're still looking for a barrel for with 21090s actually brewing. Jason Voorhees in the house says, bro, welcome, Jason. Billy says, do YouTube because you're passionate about a subject or subjects. If you want views and being monetized, do tech reviews, gaming videos, weight loss, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, the problem is say gaming. Like a lot of people jump into gaming. Gaming is so saturated right now. If you don't have anything that says I was on one of the Facebook groups that I'm a member of for YouTube, when the guys ask my gaming channel, I ask them, like, you doing a bunch of games or are you doing one game? Because if you're doing one game, those guys can actually have more of a success rate because they're showing tips and tricks just from that game if that game has a large enough following rather than jumping around. Like I do beer and gaming on here once in a while because I have people that follow that like gaming as well. But it's kind of like just me, whatever random gaming. But I'm not trying to make it a gaming channel. But if you're making a gaming channel, you got to decide all that other stuff there too. And this is 21090 says we're monetized and make nothing. I mean, unless you get hundreds of thousands of views, it's never going to amount to much. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it would actually take. I think when I was monetized, the biggest month I think I got was $10 or something I was set for. By the time they switched it, I was like at $86 on there. You had to get to 100 to get the threshold to pay, but then they switched it. Yeah, You got to have
tell
something.
my wife, I'm like, the best I'm probably gonna do is some like a brewery sends me some free beer. Like that's like the, you know.
Well, that's like it was. Well, that's kind of like money. I mean, you're not spending it
Oh yeah,
if they're,
no,
if they're sending you something like that, or when I got the cooler from New Air, like a lot of the beer tubers did, it was kind of like, well, shit, I needed a cooler. I had to go spend $250 to get one. They sent me one to check out as well, and it actually was a pretty good cooler, still kicking well downstairs.
yeah, I'm clearly doing something wrong because I didn't get that cooler. So
Well,
I, I got some hangover pills one time. That was like my
the
big
drink aid ones.
was what was it?
The drink aid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the drink aid one
Yeah.
as well, and but yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know. They did it like I got the New Air, and then I'm trying to think who else got. I don't know if DJ got it on DJ's Brew Tubes. I know Darwin got one. A few of the guys, but I think Albino got one too. Albino Rhino, I believe. I thought he did, unless I'm mistaken. So I don't know how they actually did. I mean, it was part of their promotion. They were writing it all off, I'm sure. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was happy. That I got it. It's like, wow, okay. But let me see here. And Eclipse says it's a social thing for me. I turned off monetization at this stage. Yeah, that's the thing. It is more of a social type thing right now. I mean, like I said, if I were to get something off of it, that's fine. I mean, my biggest video has like 12,000 views on it, and that was the one for the beer blizzard. And that's really because I'd actually reviewed it before it actually went on Shark Tank from the guys that had done it, and they got to deal with Mark Cuban. So every 3 or 4 months they show that Shark Tank video and people search it and I get hits on it. But outside of that, I think my next one is kind of the Emperor, which like 1,500 views or something around there. So 21090 says Series Eclipse, email me at 21090. And also email, so there's an email for something there. And Billy say, yeah, 21090. The money is not important. Possibly 10 years down the road. Yeah, I mean, it would take a while. Like I said, you'd have to have something that really took off on fire. Because I mean, a lot of these guys that have 400,000 subscribers, a million subscribers, whatever like that. Either you're like the PewDiePie type thing, or maybe you're like one of these high tech guys getting into a lot of it stuff too. So,
and you don't see people doing beer stuff at that level. I mean,
yeah. Then there is one guy that Simon brought up from Real Ale, because Simon has, I think he's near 20,000 almost subscribers. But one of the guys over there in Europe got 100,000 subscribers on his beer channel. Now he might be getting some. Because Simon did a video about him being the first beer tuber to get over 100,000 subscribers a couple like last year or the year before. But yeah. But again, you don't see that a lot out there. You see a lot of these people out there. I mean, even what you call his name? Chris. What was his channel?
Beer Geek Nation.
Yeah, he didn't get that. I don't know. I mean, I think he might have been getting a little something there, but I don't think it was as high as what people might have expected.
Yeah.
So, especially since he walked away from it, after he said his lonely at the top video, that kind of brought him downhill because people were kind of not happy with that one.
This past April Fools Day, I wanted to do hey, I'm gonna have Chris from Beer Geek Nation on as a guest or something, just to mess around for April Fools.
Yeah, bringing him back.
Message. I'm like, hey, for my 400th beer review, I had a couple beer tubers do stuff that I incorporated in the video, and I did a bunch of shout outs and little busted some people's chops. And I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, could you film even if it's 4 seconds of anything, just knew you, and he never responded. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. One of the ideas I had before that I actually didn't end up doing. Actually, Eric does. Eric Lions fan now. He started doing it, and he asked me about it because I don't want to take your idea. I was like, no, you're fine. Go ahead. I mean, I wasn't going to do it. It was sitting there and doing a video of somebody else doing it. Because my thing was, I was wondering somebody would get upset, think you were picking on or something like that or anything like that. But he started a new thing called Reviewing the Reviewer, which is basically he shows their review and he's kind of responding to their review as they're actually doing it.
I saw one of those,
yeah. So there's a way you do that. He's not going to do anything where he's attacking anybody like that and everything. But it is pretty good that he's doing it and stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's all different things you can actually do. But again, having that network of people to bounce
Yeah.
those ideas off actually works out well.
Before I made a bunch of vegan jokes about Joe from Joe's or Zhao's Arcade, I reached out to him like, "Hey, here's an idea I have. I'll make some vegan jokes. It's all in good fun." He's like, "Do it." He goes, "I love it. It's fine." Yeah, because that's the only thing I was gonna say that I thought maybe would hurt someone's feelings, and he's like, "Nah, it's cool. I love it." I'm like, "All right." Yeah. The other thing I was gonna do, speaking of Chris from Beer Geek Nation, an idea I had was like to do like a spoof on like a true crime drama, like
Yeah.
Where in the World is Chris from Beer Geek Nation, and just like have like different theories of where he disappeared to, and treat it like he was abducted or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
That
like
was good.
San Diego, like where in the world is Chris from Beer Nation, and just like maybe he's in Argentina. I don't know, just stupid ideas I had while drunk and never did for the betterment of mankind.
It's pretty funny though. It'd be pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe next year.
Yeah. But Rick said Twisted X is out of Austin. They have some good brews. Latest is called Pitmaster. It is a prime pilsner, 4.2, very good with smoked barbecue.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds pretty tasty.
I was wondering, we
Funny.
had Twisted X with a TX Texas brewery. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see here. 21090 said the Eclipse another breakfast brew day live stream this Friday at 9 a.m. Wake up, grab a cup of coffee, and join us. So yeah, so if you want to see the guys get after the brewing, they're going to be doing on 21090 this Friday at 9 a.m. doing a live brew day stream. I actually be back at work. That's all be able to catch. I catch some of the replay on it. Whiskey Throttle says, "Oh no, talking about Star Wars." You saw your Star Wars. Say the Star Wars beer geek. So there's nothing wrong with Star. Well, I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars, but nothing wrong with people like Star Wars.
All my Star Wars stuff's off camera. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just more of a Trek guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then he says cheers, but
Star Wars stuff's off camera.
But Noah Throttle's got a sarcastic humor, so if you're not familiar with whiskey. Dogfish. Billy said, yeah, Dogfish Head at merged with Sam. Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago there, but that's huge. Hasn't been much really that I've seen said about that since then. So I'm just interested to see if Dogfish Head gets more channels open to them now than where they were at previously, although we get all their stuff here for the most part.
Yeah, that's too. But yeah, I'm sure like any markets they're not in, they'll be in soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Billy says 1 penny per 1,000 views that you can get monetized for comments later as well. Yeah, I mean, depending on what advertiser buys into it, depends on the CPC that they're actually buying in. But it's funny because at one time I was one of the partners with who was it? It was I think it was with an F. But it was one of those partner marketing groups or whatever. And it was really funny because I actually did I guess you could say I did get paid by YouTube on that because they actually paid as the video came in. So they would put money into your PayPal account. Now it was just like, I think pennies on, I think one time I got like $1.50 or something, but it wasn't huge. But you didn't have to wait like YouTube if you were their partner. You were just under them and they would actually pay as you went and stuff. And as you got bigger, the payments were supposed to increase. But then when the YouTube made the switch, they couldn't do anything either. So, see, Billy got the fridge too. He says, yeah, the beer fridge was nice. 210 said we've only been sent beer. That's it. But getting sent beer is not bad. It's not bad. He said we didn't either. LL talking about the beer fridge. So 210 didn't get that.
I beers from people who watch. But yeah, I had one brewery give me a beer in person because it was so awful. They brewed a Deadpool beer, so it was a cream ale with taco seasoning, and it just came out so bad. They're like, just take a bottle and yeah, you can review it. That's fine. So
yeah.
I don't know if that really counts or not, but yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've had one of the beers I've reviewed, and I knew the guys that ran Arbor Brewing out of Michigan, and it wasn't as great for me. And I told him that, and he was fine with it. He's like, we don't expect you to like every beer that you end up getting and stuff. So, they actually appreciate when it's an honest type of opinion and stuff. So,
yeah, and you should want honest feedback.
Yeah. The Billy says from a technical analysis and fundamental analysis, as well as a cynical economic analytical view, craft beer is on the downside at the top of the bell curve. Wine flavored malt beverages, liquor. I don't know. I'm still seeing stuff that shows the craft beer is actually growing. Um, the beer itself is down overall, but it's more off the macro side of things. The craft is getting a bigger piece of the pie. They've been growing in that aspect of it from what I've been seeing. Um, Liquor is on the upswing, like Billy also mentioned, because of the millennials are driving more of the liquor type sales. Some are still doing the beer, but some are doing more of the liquor, and some are doing the seltzer waters, which are blowing up. A lot of people
Huge.
like those; they're blowing up pretty huge as well. Um, yeah, he says they're down except for like import Mexican. Yeah, Mexican beers are doing great, or they were. We'll see how the tariffs affect everything, but they were doing great. So, um, and then he says Billy thinks it'll be accelerated after the fall on the downslide. It'll be interesting to see. I don't see. I'm personally still optimistic. We got new breweries that are still opening up here. In fact, we had one opened up last week. We had another open up a couple weeks. And like, I can't keep up with them. I have to update my brewery list on the website to try to match all the breweries we actually have here now. So we haven't gotten fully to a saturated point where we can't hold them all in Cincinnati yet. And more mergers and buyouts in the future. I can see more of the mergers. I can see more of the craft breweries merging under the kind of, and I'll go back and I'll just say because they were one of the first ones to do it. It was Southern Tier, Victory, and
That's what I was just thinking.
And 6 Point. I think those three were the first one to kind of merge on a group.
I don't remember if 6 Point was involved, but I know for a fact Victory and Southern Tier.
Yeah, there was a third.
I don't know.
Yeah, there was a third one. I thought it was 6 Point, but
it might be. Yeah,
they all went under. Like I can see them coming together to pull their assets rather than having to go under some of the macros as well. Rick said, I'm actually located in the Cincinnati, Kentucky area, and then Kyle is actually up in New York. And Billy says, yes, free beer is good. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
No one watching this. That's for sure.
Everybody thinks free beer is good.
Yeah, you're watching the wrong live stream if you don't.
Yeah. Which one of the places I went to eat at, one of the waitresses got one of my beers on the check, and I'm like, I guess I should tell her, but then again, if she doesn't know, who am I to correct her? Yeah. Yeah. So, Billy says, new brewing companies opening up. Definitely possible ever once they spend their free money. Government grants I see closing. Yeah. I mean, government grants could be something under that as they cut in a lot of the things. But I know here, they're getting a lot of individual investors. For instance, like one of the breweries here, Burkus Brewing, you could invest into them as long as you had like your personal net worth, I think was like 70,000, or no, your average your salary was 70,000, and you were able to buy a percentage into their company. And so they're getting individual investors rather than going to banks. Esoteric Brewing that I mentioned earlier, they're doing the same thing. They got some bank loan, but they're getting arrested from individual investors that are buying into it as well, that are getting stakes in some of these companies. So depending on how they actually do it, but yeah. And then 210 says, okay, guys, have to hit the hay. Great seeing Rod and Kyle. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. It was great having you on here. And then I'm thinking it was Todd. I think Todd, he never did say it was Todd or was I think the other guy's Andrew. I'm used to talking to Todd all the time, but they'd be another one that I need to get on for the beer spotlight as well.
Yeah, they'd be a great channel, and you're right. They'd be great in the spotlight. Yeah. Good dudes.
Yeah. So it is Todd's. Yeah. I need to get some of those going because I've done the 4. Everybody seems to really like them, and you had an awesome one we did on there.
They're awesome to watch. Yeah, I mean it's so much fun to do, obviously, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so I got like the Beer Patrol and I got Red Beer that were the next 2 to get done. Just been kind of the timing on stuff. So, but yeah, I need to get more people. It's just so many different things, so many different ideas, like in the head of what to want to do here, and here, and try to stay focused on it all. He says that we'd be happy to be on it. Well, definitely, I'd love to get you guys on it and stuff. So I'll definitely reach out here and just do it. Just gotta get it done. But outside of that, I mean, we talked about the book and everything. And so again, if you haven't checked it out, before we sign off here, This Ain't the Beer, that you're used to. So nice little read, nice little perspective on the beer industry. But I guess all of that, because I don't want to hold you up or anything if you got stuff take place. And
I probably should go to bed so I can wake up and teach the future of America tomorrow. So yeah.
are you still in school right now?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
3 more weeks.
Oh wow, that's kind
Yeah.
of late. Oh,
Yeah.
because snow with snow days and stuff, or
We didn't use any snow days. No, it's just New York. We start after Labor Day and we end around end of June.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
growing up in New Jersey, we always started after Labor Day too, but out here they start like last week of August or something. So
Yeah.
yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, so Joe just said, "Cheers, guys!" And Rod's still on Nick's channel for afterwards. If you guys are on Nick's channel, tell Nick to send me a link, and I'll jump over there. So I'm about to wind this one down. So yeah, I'll jump on there for a bit because I'm just relaxing after the weekend. So cool. Well, special thanks, Kyle, for coming on, brother, breaking down the book with me. Definitely appreciate having you on here. And then for everybody that's actually been in the chat, thanks for everybody that was commenting. And he says, Joe says, "Will do." He says, "Hi, Kyle."
Joe, how's the other half beer you're obviously drinking right now?
Oh, he's drinking another half right now. So,
But Rod, thank you so much for having me again. Congrats on 1,000. That's amazing, well deserved, and yeah, awesome time.
thank you. Yeah, I was gonna do a Friday. I was gonna try to do like a 1,000 show or something, but I just didn't have time to do it before I had to get up Saturday morning and go on the flight and
Yeah.
everything. I might do that this week too as a thing. I want to do like kind of like a shout out show and stuff as well. But I'm shouting you out all the time I can, whether here, whether Instagram. You do a lot of good stuff on Instagram as well. So
About networking, giving each other, propping everyone up. That's what we do, you know.
that's what we do. That's what we do
Yeah.
here. So, but thanks for everybody in there. And then Rick says top 5 craft breweries: San Antonio, Alamo Beer, Freetail Brewing, Ranger Creek, Southerly Fine Food and Brewing. It's funny. I think I may have actually, when I was in Dallas, I may have gotten a beer from Alamo. So I'll have to check the beers, and you'll have to check out the video to see what I got. So that all being said, thanks for everybody that hung in here. Look forward to catching you guys next time. Hopefully you like what you saw, and so hit that like button. And of course, if you haven't subscribed by now, hit that subscribe and hit that alarm so you're notified. Check out Kyle on No Hype Beer Reviews, and they also on Instagram as well. I don't know if you're doing Twitter and stuff too.
Not Twitter. I don't have so much time, Rod. Come on.
All right, that's the whole time thing. Check him out. Check out the people in the comments that we talked about earlier as well. A lot of good stuff in there. We had Joe from the Beer Patrol who popped in at the end. Great channel on that. And you catch him on the Beer Flow show when I do that on Thursday nights, which in fact we'll be back again this week. Couldn't get it done last Thursday again because I had too much stuff happening, but we'll be back up and going. And then like the WWE, it will continue each week regardless. So no breaks. So thanks again, everybody. Look forward to catching you guys next time. Keep drinking those good craft beers. And now we got Foamy Head that pops in and said he was next door in Sequin. And then he's down in Texas as well. Catch you guys next time. Cheers.